guys, and welcome to the Blorange styling technique. I'm just going to wait just a few minutes for people to join us, so we'll just wait for everyone to get involved and then we'll start. Amazing, we've got people joining now, so just welcome guys. Just gonna leave it a few seconds just to let everybody get their coffee, get sorted, come and join us, and then we'll kick off in just a minute or so. Okay, so last week we discussed Blorange. Again, thank you for bearing with us with all of the technical difficulties that we had. It's been a lot easier this time. As you can see, there's no watch parties, it's coming to you live, so great. So, see, we did the colour technique last week. Hi Mark, lovely that you could join us. As I said, like last week, we did change the colour technique just ever so slightly, because it is very similar to Wild Orchid. Oh, hey! So what I did, just as a brief recap, is still working with 3 quadrants, but the underneath panel here, which is our deepest colour, you know, our most vibrant colour, or darkest if you're doing it with modern styling or imagery or whichever colour you're doing, we created a diamond shape. So you can see here we have a point of colour going down to just the top of the ear, going down to the nape of the neck. So that's giving us all of our perimeter. It's keeping it nice and full so that we get in that thickness at the bottom which we want. We do want it to look a little bit textured, but we don't want it to be, you know, 5 hairs at the bottom of our head. And then what we did was we created a halo with like a zigzag sections, so that the top integrated into the mid panel, so it wasn't too hard a line. So this underneath panel was just hey Doreen, it was just a straight line, really solid, because that's blending into a sort of softer pink. So it's a salmon into a pink, so that's not going to really show too much of a demarcation. And then we have our softer lavender mink sort of colour, which if we had just went straight in with like a solid line of a circle, it would be very, very hard to blend it. It would be very like 1, 2, 3. Because the tone on the top, hi Janice, just because the tone on the top is slightly different to the pinks, we wanted to integrate it a little bit more, okay? So because we are working on a mannequin, the haircut for this technique, which is in the book, it's in the presentation if you go and see it, isn't going to work on this mannequin head because it's almost there, so you wouldn't really get too much of a difference if I were to show you it, okay? So what I'm going to do today is we're going to work with the styling range. So we're going to use some of the fix. I'm also going to use the Luminary leave-in conditioner just to create some moisture, and we're going to give this a very dishevelled, worn-in, cool girl sort of effect. I'm going to do it with a few different curling techniques and waving techniques, just so that you can see that, you know, you can have this sort of separation, and it'll keep weight and it'll flatten weight where it needs to be. So her hair's not too wet. She's been sat here waiting for a little while, so it's dried off a little bit. That's the way I like it. I don't like it to be dripping wet, because you've just got so much blow drying to do. Then it dilutes the product down. So, you know, if it's damp, makes your life a lot easier, okay? So the first product I'm going to do is our Luminary leave-in conditioner. That's our number 3. Hey guys! So this is relatively new. It launched last year and it is phenomenal. I can't get it out. It's brand new, so it's not coming out very well. Okay, so you can see the texture of it is almost that of whipped cream. It's very light, it's very aerated. So perfect for fine hair, for thick hair, whichever hair you're working with, it's great. It's not going to weigh it down. It absorbs really quickly into the hair, so it's not too heavy. For my hair, which is quite dry at the moment, I actually put a little bit through the ends when it's dry, just for some added moisture really, but it works best to put it on before you start blow drying the hair, because it will maintain the moisture levels within the hair. gives you an incredible shine. So even though I am going to be working with maybe some products that will make the hair a little bit dull, but just to get that sort of worn in texture, this is going to maintain that sort of, it's still going to feel nice, it's still going to have a shine, and it's just going to be amazing to work with. Just going to do a little bit more in the fringe here. We're also going to trim this fringe in a little bit as well, because I purposely left it quite long last week. For those of you that joined us, obviously there was the explanation I needed to see where I was going to put the colours. So we're going to just go over that. I'm going to show you how to layer up the fringe a little bit, and just to give it, again, a bit more of a dishevelled feel. If you want to keep a really heavy line, if they've got finer hair, that's great. She's got quite a lot of hair up top, so we can afford to thin this out a little bit. And also the texture will just show the colours through the fringe. So like I was saying, that sort of lived in petrol look, when it moves in the light, you'll see different tonalities in the hair. All right, so now we've got our loom nylon. I'm actually going to use a wide tooth comb for this. These combs are great, guys, actually. They're great for combing the hair when it's wet, detangling. It's great to just distribute product. They're actually made from 100% recycled ocean plastic. They're called Ray combs, so if you're like me and you like to save the ocean, you do a lot of imagery, it's a great comb to have. Okay, so now we're going to go in with Prep It, number 37. So this is going to create a base for our cocktail, because we're going to cocktail the fruit products at different parts of the hair, just to get the feel that we need, all right? Because not every part of the hair needs the same product. So what I'm going to do, let me just spin her around for you. Oh, there, you can really see the colour coming through there. We're going to spray this section by section. Now, be careful with your Prep It, your Shine It, and your Pump It. If you've got, like me, you've got a laminate wood floor. When I would blow dried this last week, I put quite a lot of spray shine on it. Can't talk today. And it'll sit on my floor, and I've been tripping up all week. It's been so slidey. So just make sure if you have quite a slippy floor, you're wiping the floor afterwards. So today I've put a towel on the floor just to protect myself and don't want to fall off the camera or something like that. So we just work that through. You can see I'm being quite liberal with this. I'm actually putting quite a bit on, because mannequin hairs are quite difficult to work with, so I really would make sure that I'm getting that structure in the hair that I need. I'm getting the grit, and it's giving me the perfect base to start layering up the products. Okay, so this time I'm just going to use my smaller comb, just to, because it's a finer mist, I'm just going to get that through. Okay, I'm not going to do anything to the roots, because I'm actually going to use the Lift It when I'm finished. So I don't want to create any volume through here. I actually want all of the thickness through here. So what I'm going to do, I also need a little bit of hold as well, is with the number 55 pack oil, I'm going to pull that through the ends, and that's going to give me all of the hold. I can't think of my word there. All of the hold that I need. So you can see it comes out just like a little crackle. You can feel it fizzing and popping in your hand, and it really does just give you the most incredible hold without being too sticky. Okay, I'm just blending up to these layers, because she does have a little bit of like layering, you know, like her doll's head have through her hair. So I just want to make sure that I'm working that in to all of that, but not really concentrating up here, because I want that to be a bit more free. I want it to feel like it's got product. I want it to be movable when she's walking. A little bit in the fringe, but not too much. Okay, so yeah, when you're layering products like that, it's what we call cocktailing, and it's not often one product will fit the hair type. You kind of need to start mixing them up, diagnosing your client's hair and working out what she needs through the hair. So if she had, let's say, very porish hair, she's had a lot of bleach, because we're working with Tech Romance, it is going to be bleached. What I would do is I wouldn't really put too much pack oil in the end. I would work on putting the moisture through there, because the porosity is going to give that dryness and that texture anyway. I would work in filling in the moisture rather than the hold. But her hair's pretty okay, it's not too bad, so hence why we need the hold in the end. Otherwise I'm going to do it and you're going to see it and it's just going to drop out while I'm actually talking to you, so not what we want. Okay, let's around the hands a little. Now we're going to work with a drying technique called wrap drying. So I'm working with a soft paddle brush rather than a hard paddle brush, just because it's nicer for the hair. With bleached hair, it's a little bit more delicate. So it isn't going to tug. If it's knotty, it's going to just glide over them, so I know, rather than like really try and rip them out. If you want to use a Denman or paddle brush, whatever brush you're more comfortable with, I just like the texture this one gives me. So just going to dry the product in a little bit before I start brushing it. Obviously when the hair's wet, if you start brushing it when it's too wet, it can start pulling it and causing snapping. That's why we always recommend on wet hair you would generally use a comb, okay? And always after bleach, like a leave-in conditioner or, I don't know, Refibra lotion, something like that, just before you start combing, just to help build that strength back up in the hair and stop you getting any breakage. The last thing you want is to do an amazing bleach job and then you comb it out and you cause snapping, so then it looks like the bleach is done the snapping, but it's actually not. So I'm not trying to create any parting. I'm using a medium heat on a high speed just to help get that motor off. The reason I'm using a medium to low heat rather than a hot is because we're working with eyelight. Because like any ready to use pigment, temporary colour, the more heat you put on it, the quicker it pulls out. So even when we were shampooing, well, we didn't shampoo, even when we washed the colour off, I used very cool water, because I really didn't want to sort of use anything too hot and then lose all this colour that we spent so long putting in last week. Also, I use the Infusion, the Supreme Nourishment, again just to get some shine on her hair, just to really make these colours pop and stand out. And you know, with using the fix, that is going to protect the hair as well, so you don't have to worry about like having to find oh hi Ty! So you don't have to worry about finding heat protector. It's all within the product of the fix for you, so you're covered with every base. So she's nearly to a dampness that I'd be happy working with. You can see it's just looking a little bit sticky on the end, so that's kind of where I want to be. Push her head down a little bit, get underneath going. You know, I think we can always think that you don't do a blow dry properly unless you're using a round brush and really like working in the volume. Honestly, me and John, when we used to work in the salon together, it was all about the blow dries, the big bouncy blow dries, and you weren't allowed to use like blow dry that and then use a curling tone. You had to do it with the brush, and then you can go over with the tongs if you wanted, or the straighteners if you wanted, but everything was brush. So then when I went into the world of session work and everything like is wrap drying to get the movement in the hair, I really struggled with that. My West London brain was like, no, this is not how you do a blow dry. It needs to be with a brush. It needs to be flat, the cuticle. See John agreeing. Yeah, it needed to be like super smooth. I want texture. I want movement. I don't want a mirror-like shine on it. I can do that with the shiner in a fix. I want that gritty, worn in, she's been at the beach but her hair's still a really cool colour sort of look. So that's why even the soft paddle brushes are great for that, because they're not as heavy on the head as a hard paddle brush. So we're just gonna, you'll also notice I'm not doing that. I don't want to burn the colour out, I don't want to burn the hair, and I don't want to burn the cuticle. So by doing it this way, I'm flattening all my root down without pulling out any colour. Okay? So for those of you who just joined us, thank you very much. We've just been layering up products. If you look through the comment section, you'll see a little description of each of them. So we've used the Lumen Oil leave-in, which I'm sure everybody loves. Because Lumen Oil, let's face it, is a great product range. Like, just makes it better having more products. Then we've worked with the 37 Prep It from a fix, just so that we could start cocktailing. And then we've used the pack oil through the end. not through the root, just the ends, to create hold and texture. Okay, and then when we finish, we'll cocktail some more products on top of that. So the prep-it's going to be a great base to hold those products on. And now that it's drying, you can really see those colours begin to shine through. That salmon underneath going into the mint, going into the purple. Don't know if any of you remember what I said last week, that I hadn't actually tried the technique out. It was just made up on I just made it up the night before. So it turned out well. I'm happy with it. I hope you guys like it. So work through here a little bit. And then when we get into the nape of the neck, again, let's just get the shine back. I'm pushing the hair down just to flatten the neck. If I give too much volume through this area, it's going to give quite a large head shape. No lady wants a large head shape. Everybody does. You want your sort of volume going through here, and then this going a little bit flatter through there. And that's going to give you that beautiful, like model-esque head shape, you know? I always say when you're working in the session with hair up, the dries, you know, your blow dries, look at the hair. Oh, thank you, Doreen. Look at the hair from every angle. I always look at it from the side. Like, you look at it from the side, you get to see what the silhouette is like. So it doesn't matter if you've done this amazing hair up, if the silhouette doesn't sit right, it's not going to have the effect that you want. You need to really work on that silhouette. And if someone's got a very small head and not much shape here, then feel free to widen this part and make it a lot more volumized. And like low chignons, that kind of thing, you know. It's all about creating the perfect head shape. Just as your cutting and your colouring is about accentuating and diminishing features. So always just remember that when you're doing. The whole world is a catwalk. Thanks to Instagram, or a catwalk. So people are always going to be getting their photo took. It's always going to be online. You know, you've got all these fashion bloggers. So there's always a chance that your work could end up on one of these sites. So always just think that, what's the photograph going to look like? That's what I think. And you can just see the sort of texture we're getting through the hair is great. It's got enough of the stiffness that it's going to hold any shape that I put in, but it's not going to be crunchy. If you remember like the 80s perms with the mousse and it was all dead crunchy, we're not going to get that feel. Just because of the Soya Active in the effects, it's very, very moisturising, it's very conditioning, and that stops that electric perm kind of 80s vibe, which if you want, that's great. Just layer up more product. But for this, it's not the look I'm going for, not today. Maybe in one of the other trend stories, it might be a little bit 80s, you never know. Also guys, in the comment box, tell me, no crunchy hair today now. Tell me guys in the comment section, have you enjoyed Tech Romance? Because this is obviously the last technique from it. Then we move on to Gentle Energy, which I'm beyond excited for you guys to see. Like, have you enjoyed the new highlight and the techniques that we've created for you? What are your thoughts? Let me know. I can see your comments today, so it's all good. Colouring that down there. But I'm not going like this. I'm colouring out, just to create some volume through here still. Remember, we don't want it too flat at the ends, just at the root. This is going all over the place. Work through this back section here. I have to say, when I was coming up with this colour technique and the tones that we were going to use, obviously we were told which tones were going to come out in highlight so that we could work with them. I was really unsure how people would react to the opposing tones and, you know, putting an orange next to a blue and using colours that you wouldn't usually put together, you know. I think we get so caught up in our bubble, and as colorists, we're like, well, this is the colour style, this is how it works, like this isn't meant to work. But you know, it's just like dating, opposites attract. It's great. I'm just trying to get this underneath, I'm nearly done, but I'm really enjoying the texture that I've got here. And I think when Prep It came out, we really needed something like that in the fixed range. Because as diverse as it was, there wasn't like a primer, which is essential when you're doing any sort of hair work that you need to last. Because you know, you want to protect it from the heat and the humidity, especially the humidity. Very humid here today, so my hair's changed from what it looked like this morning. This mannequin was already blonde when we used it, because you can't guarantee to get a white with this. I think on the model it's either blueberry bleach or cream bleach. I can't quite remember off the top of my head, because she was already very light anyway. So the eye blonde, the Super 9, the Freehand Super 9, they came out with Gentle Energy, so I wasn't using those in this technique. So we'll be discussing those more in the upcoming videos, but they're amazing. I was using them the other day, they're great. So I am going to use a small brush just on the fringe here. So I'm going to just because we are going to recut this, and if I don't have to straighten it, which I probably will, but if I can get it nice and smooth with the blow dryer, I have to do less straightening. You can really see that colour coming through. I'm actually super happy with how this turned out. You know, so it's all about thinking about your placement. You know, so placement of colour is super important. Normally, if I was doing like quite a big change, I would cut it first. Just so that you can see where your colour is going to go. Obviously, she's got quite long hair, so you can generally get away with doing your colour first and just putting any detail work that you need in there, and then you're fine. But for the likes of, you guys remember VIP Club, the main image of VIP Club was the bowl with the quite intricate colour technique. So with that, there is no way that can't be cut first. So you know, you just have to really just think about it with your client, of which is going to be the best way to do this. But obviously, you have to just follow what your column's doing as well, so just see what's going to work. Nearly done, and we'll get into the waving side of things. Okay, so really make sure that the hair is dry. You don't want to be putting your straighteners or your curling wand onto damp hair, because it's just going to frazzle the hair and pull your colour out. So just really make sure that's dry. Just going to go through a little bit underneath there. I'm also going to go through with some cold air. So what the cold air, thank you. The cold air is going to help just to close that cuticle down a bit. Again, helping with the shine. So let's just move that down to a cold setting. Oh, don't want to turn it off. I'm going to also move the speed down. There we go. Oh, straighteners are telling me they're not happy. There we go. So yeah, so now we've got the cold air in there. It's just going to help to seal the hair, which will again help with the frizz, especially if you're in a humid climate. A little bit of cold air is really going to help to protect that hair. You can also see it's just giving a bit of shine to it too. Alright, there she is. So just with my brush, smooth this down a bit, see if it's the sort of shape that I'm looking for. Yeah. So you can see from the start, she's got much more thickness through here, because we really want to open this up a bit so that you can see the colour work. So let's just give this a brush, but I'm not brushing down. Again, I'm always brushing out. So if you're brushing out, you're just helping to maintain that thickness and that volume. If you do this, flattens it. So just pull the hair out. You can also do this when you're brushing out the hair as well, just to create that open look that you want on like glamorous waves. So, you know, just have a little play around, get your doll's head out, just play with brushing out waves, because I think for most people, it's the hardest part. It's actually getting them to brush out and look like you want them to look. All right, so now I'm going to get into the waving, the exciting part. Not very exciting just watching me blow dry hair, is it? Okay, so I'm just taking sections straight across. I'm not doing 4 quadrants, anything like that, because I just want to see how the hair is going to be sitting, and I'm going to just work by eye for a lot of it. So I'll be using the monitor, the screen, to help me determine what's looking out. So let's just, sections are quite thick because I don't want teeny tiny. I don't want, if I have quite fine sections, it's going to cause the hair to expand. So I'm using thicker sections just to help maintain the volume. So what I'm going to do here, because I want to create a good base for the curls to lie on, I'm actually going to do a wave here. So it's a deep wave just to create a bit of fullness through here so that I don't have to do as much fullness through the top. Okay, so here we go. So you put your straightener in straight, turn it under half, rotate, 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 and then at the end make sure the ends go under. It will just give you a more beveled feel to the hair, okay? And you can see, you can also get that beautiful Hollywood glamour feel with this wave. But just by using different techniques, it really does give you that sort of, it's dried in the sun, because you know, no one's hair dries exactly the same. A lot of people's hair dries straighter underneath, curlier on top, you know, so you can get away with different textures. So just curving it over the side, over the barrel, just maintaining quite a firm pull. But also, I don't know if you can see, I'm using a barreled edge straightener. So if you've got square straighteners, it might be a little bit harder. You may get quite a lot of demarcation in the hair. So just having a slight roundness on your straighteners really will make this a lot easier. You can also do it with a curling tongue, which I will show you on a different section if you haven't got a round straightener, okay? So there we go, sizzles. But I think it's just really working well with this sort of peachy colour. So one of the things I really wanted to maintain with this colour is, I don't know if it's going to make sense, it's a colour, it's a pastel colour, but it's almost like you can see white shining through it. Like if you look on here, the shine line looks a bit white, so that's giving you the luminescence of the colour. So that was the idea behind this. I didn't want to have an opaque colour finish. I wanted it to be a little bit more translucent, just so then the hair, I think, feels a bit lighter, you know. You can see sometimes when people have a creative colour technique like this, sometimes the ends look really heavy and really saturated and you can't get any light through it. That's not what we wanted to see. So that's why these are sort of pastelized, but it does make them a lot more delicate. So like I say, just make sure you're really packing on the heat protection when you're working with these colours, and just not to wash it too much, you know. Dry shampoo is your best friend. We have one in the Luminol range that we launched last year. It's great. You know, also just when they are washing it, cooler water. It's super important. So I'm just twisting the hair a little bit. And then I'm just going to curl that. But I'm also going to just keep that twisting as I pull my straighteners down. Okay, and at the ends, I don't really want to curl. Okay, and you can just see, keeps the root nice and flat, brings me a lot more volume through the ends. Okay, so let's do that again. It is a bit difficult, like when you're used to curling with straighteners, to try and get your hands to do different things. So it takes a lot of practice to just get it to twist. But for demonstration purposes, I'm going to twist before I go so that you actually see what we're doing, all right? So I'm not right at the root. I'm twisting. My straighteners are facing down. I'm twisting as I go. I'm not curling too much. And then at the end, I'm just pulling straight. There you go. So don't play with it too much while it's hot, because it's setting, okay? Think of it like a perm. It needs time to set. When it's cooled down, then we go through, we dress it out, we brush it, we do whatever we're going to do. Okay, I'm going to take this section. My sections as well, they're not mirroring, they're not the same size necessarily. I want that. I don't want it too uniform. You know, Tech Romance is all about fun, you know. She's free, she's fun, she doesn't really care too much, you know. She wants to be seen, hasn't got time for the glamorous waves, so that's where we're going with this, okay? Thinking of like your Instagram hair, you know. I've just woke up like this but really spent 5 hours doing it. It's the kind of effect we want. Okay. So that's nearly all of our salmon out there. Obviously, if you've got thicker hair, finer hair, you can just change the technique. You can just use one waving technique. I just want to show you a few so that you've got it in your arsenal at the salon. That's if in your territories you're allowed to do blow dries and straightening, because I know in the UK they're recommending that we don't blow dry hair. So if you can, do it. If you can't, practice on your doll's head until you can. All right, so let me show you how to do a wave with your curling wand. So it's about a medium curling tongue. It's easier if it does have the what you call that, handle, I suppose. So then we can just twist and then we flip it round and then sort of like S bending. It is a lot harder, not gonna lie. It's not quite where I want it here, so I'm just gonna go back over this bit again. Something like that way. So you get the idea, yeah? The bigger the barrel, the bigger the wave you're gonna get. So you can see it's a lot softer than it is underneath, but it's still there. Actually, I'll just carry on using this. It makes sense, doesn't it? So let's do this again. So you can see the layers are starting to come in now. And because the colour's starting to change, we'll be blending in the different sections, okay? So you don't want to have like, where the join is, you want to kind of make it seamlessly blend into the underneath colour. Otherwise, you're just going to have like 1, 2, 3, and it's not going to look very soft. It's going to look quite strong, but if that's the look you're going for, great. So we'll bend under, just very slowly, then we bend over, and under again, over. And because with these I can actually decide what temperature I want, whereas my straighteners I can't, I've got it at 165. So that's really just to keep the colours as soft as possible, like maintain them in the hair. This colour is quite delicate. As you can see, it's not quite as full and fruity as this one, so we want to just make sure we're not pulling that out. Okay, and where I can, I'm not going to keep going over a section, you know, I want to just kind of get it in one if I can. Sometimes you can't, and that's okay. Just beware that you don't want to pull that colour out. But to be honest with you, the highlights are pretty durable, so you should be okay. You can just see that there. It's also bringing out the colours, bringing them together. We're getting this incredible shine from the highlights and from the lumen oil that we put in the hair. So we go under, and we in that join we go over, under again. It's actually a very easy way to create S-bends in the hair. You know, if you've got someone who's going to like a, I don't know, a 1920s party or something like that, it's a perfect way to just get that. But if you were doing it on a short bob, I would leave the underneath the occipital bone, I'd leave it quite straight, and then I would just do the rest going over it, just again to create flatness. Because remember, always want that perfect head shape. So it's repeating this again. But they are a lot flatter here, which is actually a good thing. It's a blessing in disguise actually, because we're sitting on where the occipital bone would be on our client. So again, I want to just keep that a bit more flat through there, just because I want it to look a lot flatter here. Okay, she doesn't really, as you can see, there isn't too much of a curve in her head, which is just a thing with mannequin heads. But you can just see by creating a bit of flatness here and then width here, it's given us a really nice shape within the style. All right, the fringe we'll do last, just because we're going to cut it anyway, so we want it to be nice and smooth. So let's just take that out, put that into place. I've got about 2 more sections here, so take, again, the top section we're going to keep quite flat. I'm not going to go too crazy with the curls on the roots, because again, it just wouldn't make a great shape. All right. Just get my section in, and I'll be with you. All right. So here we're going to go back to our straightening iron. So many wires around me in a slippy floor, I'm literally going to fall. All right, and we're going to go back to our twisting and wrapping technique. Okay, so we're twisting, straightener in vertical, and then pull, whilst maintaining the twist through the ends. Okay. This is going to open up our colour around the face. All right, so I always think, like, where's the money shot? It's here. This is what people want to see. They want to see the face. So if I can take the hair back away from the face, if the client's comfortable enough with me doing that, that's what I'll do. If they're a little bit insecure and they're, I don't know, going for a bad time in their life and they don't want to really like show off the face, I would go in. So I would turn my hair towards the face if I want it to open up away from the face, okay? So let's just twist that. Notice the twist is not from the root, because I want that to lie flat, okay? And then we just twist and we move. And I'm just going slowly, deliberately, because the slower you go, the more even the heat distribution on the hair. It means I don't have to go over it. Okay, so it's all about just maintaining the colour. Okay, that's the thing I'm thinking about all the time. As much as I want the styling to look amazing and really accentuate that colour, I would rather keep the colour on the head than take it out. Okay, so twist, and then we go down. I'm probably going to cut the fringe before I style it. Obviously, we don't want to be moving it too much. There we go. You can just really see, oh no you can't. You can really see the texture coming through now with the 2 different techniques and just how they're integrating together. You know, it doesn't have that just done feel. I would imagine like California, Australia, places like that. This is sort of like how the girls wear their hair. It's a lot more loose, a lot more free. So it's quite a nice technique just to have. Because I know in the UK, girls, they want the lived in hair. They, one way or the other, big, beautiful curls or lived in. Unfortunately for me, when I was in the salon, it was always big, beautiful curls. It would take hours, and they always had like 5 heads of hair, and you'd be in the middle of the summer and it was all glass fronted. You'd be sweating. It was a life skill. Like, I couldn't really blow dry before I started working in Kensington. But there you go. Okay, so now again, I've just moved my arm position just so that I can get this to go away from the face. And you can see, because we've cocktailed the products on there in the pack oil, it's really holding that shape. So I'm actually super happy, because, you know, it's nothing worse than when you're doing someone's hair and you can see it dropping as you're getting to the top, and then you have to go back through it, and it's a lot. So I'm really happy with that. Also, I'm pulling the head down. I'm not pulling it up or out when I doing my curl. I'm pulling it down, okay? And that again is just to help gravity and pull that weight out of it. Slipping up the side there. You see, I'm not too fussy if there's a big curl in there. I mean, I'm going to brush them out anyway and just give a more lived-in texture. So I'm okay with if it's not got too much of a curl like this one. If it's a little bit more dreadlocked, I'm fine with it. I'm cool with it. Okay, then we're just going away from the face again. Then we go down. It will start opening up onto your barrel that you can see. That's fine. Just make sure you're keeping your end fairly straight just to help the two techniques blur in together, okay? Let's pull her back round. And I'm not going to do the wave on the top. I'm going to work with a softer curl through this top section here to blend. Because if I do the waves, it's going to look quite odd on her head shape. So just remember all about the head shape. Okay, I'm going to brush out any curls too quickly. Yeah. So I can see now, I can see I'm like, okay, looks quite nice straight, but then it's going to just be curl, wave, straight. I need to blend. Okay, and if I was going to just go in and do a normal curl, that would be too much. It would just be too pretty. It wouldn't blend with the rest of the hair. So I'm going to carry on with my twist and curl. Okay, I'm going to take the twist even lower down now, just to maintain. Have I got all my fringe? Yes, I do. Just to maintain my look. I think as hairdressers, we can sometimes just get so into things, we forget to just take a step back and have a look. I was so guilty of that. You know, it's great just to really see what the hair's doing. If you have to change your plan, go for it. I used to be very vague in my consultations because I would be like, oh yeah, we'll do this, it's going to be great, it's going to be lovely, like, great, I'm on it. Then you start cutting the hair and you start seeing things about how the hair's reacting when it's wet, because obviously when it's dry, it's been styled, and you're not really getting a true depiction of what the hair is. So then I'd be like, oh, well, that's not going to sit well, that's going to be really difficult to manage. So I would actually start evolving what I was doing without actually telling the client. But I mean, so long as it looks somewhat like what you agreed, you're generally fine. So, and they can style it. So the main thing is that they can style their hair. Nothing worse than getting a haircut. John, do you remember the one you gave me? Yeah. We were very young. And I was copper, like brighter than this. And I was like, oh, I want to be white. I want my hair white. You know, hairdressers, you get bored. We were a bit quiet at this point in time. And John was like, yeah, I'll do it. He's just done his colour specialist degree. You know, he's like, great, I know what I'm doing, it's fine. I was like, cool, we'll do it. And I've got really curly hair. I've got fine hair, but a lot of it. It's super curly, quite difficult to style. Bleached it 3 times in one day. I will reiterate, we were very young. We've learned a lot since then. And then we cut it. Oh my Lord, I'll see if I can find it. I'll see if I can find a picture of it and I'll put it on my Instagram story. If any of you follow me, you will see it. He gave me a micro fringe. Not just a micro fringe above my eyebrow. It was a micro fringe. And the bob came up to here and it was so dry and so thick and I just couldn't do anything with it. And I lived with John at the time and he'd wake up and he would just look at me and he'd be like, oh my God, like, looks great. Like, And I was like, yeah, trying to feel it, trying to be confident. My boyfriend at the time was like, Zoe, it's horrible. I was like, oh God. So, you know, suitability is key because that was nearly a year of treatments, cutting, like trying to grow it out. The micro fringe grew out very quickly. We did not keep that very long. But technically a brilliant haircut, just not with the bleach. And not for someone who's got hair like mine, that's actually quite difficult anyway. So, we're nearly where we need to be to get to the fringe. Super happy with how this is looking actually. Really bringing out our colour work, which essentially is what we want. We always want everybody to look at the colour and be like, wow. Hey Savita, thank you for joining. Saying hello, I got rid of my section. There you go. It's always difficult trying to do this so people can see. You're like contorting in different positions. It's like yoga. It's like hair demo yoga. That's what we'll call it. Right, so let's have a look at this fringe. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use some no mark clips. So these are just clips that have got a board on them, and what they do is when you put them into the hair, they don't give you a demarcation. If you don't have any, you can literally use business cards, playing cards, price lists. When I'm generally working on Fashion Week, I'll put my little business card in so when people take behind the scenes, they can see it. you know, there's ways. So yeah, let's just make sure we've got our fringe in. So it's literally to the highest recession. So we took it from the highest point of the head to the high recession. Literally nearly fell. So just to check the highest point, put your comb on, and what you're looking for is where it starts to bend, okay? So that's what we're looking for. So I can take a little bit of this out, which is great. And then we just have to guess where the high recession is, because she's a doll's head and it'd be too easy if they gave us marks on the head, wouldn't it? Like, let's face it. Just gonna turn her to face me a second. Okay. So I've got a watch on. It's just there, it's about even. But I don't want to disturb. I'm also actually gonna put a few of these around the head, because what they'll do is they'll help to keep it flat. So yeah, when you're doing blow dry, you know, these things really make a difference. Also, if you're doing a curtain fringe, you can use these to set the fringe where you do the rest of the hair. I'll show you how to do that in a second. Because yeah, if you've got like a curtain fringe, they sometimes can't sit right here. If you like me, you've got a widow's peak, it will always just bend and it doesn't have that feel of, let's say, Kim Kardashian, because she always has a great one. So what I'll do is I'll show you where to put the clips so that you get that feel. All right, we'll give her a bit more of a curtain fringe actually. So you want her head nice and straight. And this is all to me. I'm just going to find the one in there. There we go. So you can just see already. You'll see these on Instagram a lot. Let's get them offline. Just no mark clips. There's a little bit of a dent in this. I'm just going to lightly go over this because the colours at the front are super, super delicate. Okay. And because we're changing the fringe slightly and giving her a bit more of a worn-in fringe rather than too heavy a fringe, I'm going to cut on a triangle, all right? But I am going to layer it, so I will show you how to do that. Now, where should I stand? Let's see here. Yeah, can you all see? Yeah, you can. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're going to take a central profile through the fringe. Let's see what you can see. All right. Just pulling it straight out from the head, okay? This is going to be our shortest point of the fringe. Can you see? So I'm just going in and point cutting that out, yeah? So I'm using like a point cut, and you can see it just softens, brings out the colours, but also maintains length, okay? Because we can always take more length off, we can't stick it back on. Okay, so just take your time with the fringe, all right? Don't go too crazy too soon. All right. So I'm just going to take a little bit more. And I'm also moving my fingers up because obviously the head shape starts to change. So I'm just moving up, okay? There we go. And what we'll do is we'll take a bit of length off this afterwards. We just want to get the texture in there first. Taking a diagonal section down, we're going to over direct into the middle. All right, you can see my guide there. And just point cut. And just moving your fingers as you go, okay? So moving your fingers is just going to help you to maintain shape and lengthen the hair. Let's just take this. Just straight to the middle. She's drunk. And just keep going. I mean, it can always be very daunting when somebody wants to change in the hair, you know, like, especially if they've had it the same way for such a long time. I had a client not so long ago, actually, obviously, before lockdown. And she hadn't had her hair done in 7 months. It was quite long, it was quite purple, it was lovely. She came in, and I went to her and she was just sort of like, want it all cut off. But then she kept like changing her mind a little bit. She wasn't too sure. So in the end, I was just like, well, are you happy either way? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, well, which one are you leaning towards? And she was just like, oh, short. So I just got the ponytail and cut it off. So sometimes you have to help make the decision, but only if you know the client's going to be okay with that. because, you know, they've only got 50-50 options really, and you can't keep going around in circles. There we go. And also, if you're going to do a colour change and someone's going to have a change of a haircut, just cut a big chunk off before you start. Makes your life so much easier. So repeating that on the other side, but you can see my arm is up in the air. And let's just see. Okay. Can you guys still see? Yeah, you can. Okay, so now I'm going to create the curtain shape, okay? Usually I like to start just about below the bridge of the nose. That gives it room to bounce, and then we can always take more off, okay? Again, I'm going to work slowly, and I'm going to work with a point cutting technique, okay? I also have another funny story about the salon. We went through a stage of doing a lot of micro fringes. This wasn't me. And there was one guy doing it, and John will know who I'm talking about straight away. And he gets well into his haircuts. And he'd got the clippers out to just give that really like crisp, precise line, but kind of forgot about the eyebrows and just took a chunk of her eyebrow off. So you always need to remember when you're working around this area, maybe just lift it away from the face a little bit, you know, just save yourself some heartache and some trouble, because the lady was not happy. And then we're just bending down, maintaining a lot of length at the side, taking my time, but moving my comb at the same time. There we go. And I can see just a few little bits. Again, I'm putting my scissors in, but it's going straight onto, it's not going into her eye. It's going straight onto her forehead, and they're closed, okay? If you're not comfortable doing that, use your finger, okay? Because, you know, scissors, you remember, scissors next to the face is something that can quite easily go wrong. I swear to you, we were great hairdressers. We just had our moments. I mean, I can tell you so many stories, but I think it would terrify you about ever getting your hair cut in London, so I'm not going to do it. All right, so I really like that now. I can really see it's gave it a bit more dimension, you know, it's gave it a really pretty look. I can see how this is all sitting. I'm quite happy with how this is going. Okay, and this is where the tricky bit goes. So I'm actually, sorry for crossing the screen then. Oh, actually, just a little bit there. There we go. I'm actually going to just spin her around this way. It's going to make it easier for me, okay? So, guys, always make yourself easy. Like, don't be bending, like contorting around your client if you don't have to. Remember, the chairs move. So move them to where you need them. Make sure their head is sitting where you need it, because, you know, if they're not happy with the haircut, they're going to tell you straight away. So if you can make your life easier and just get your body positioning right, then it's going to just save a world of pain. Okay, so again, I'm just lifting it out, just elevating the hair, and just point cutting. I don't want any heavy lines, because obviously I've done all of this shape through here. All right, I can see that a little bit out there, so that's fine. We'll just take that off. And then we just blend it a little bit. Now again, I'm not too super fussy if it's not I'm not super fussy if it's not completely even, because it's not going to be wall like a fringe, because, like, let's face it, if she was walking around like this, she'd be bumping into everything. It would just be a nightmare. So I'm just going to have a look and just clean it up a bit. Do you want some semblance of balance? Just take this up a little bit. So I would always say start with the side that's more difficult, which I should have done, because then you can match up the easy side, because the easy side always looks great. All right, I'm kind of happy with that. You can see there's a little bit of layering through here, which is taking away some of the heaviness in the fringe, but it's also bringing out the three colours. So we have the base colour, then we have our mink as a transition colour, and then we have our sort of really cool, I'm not sure what colour you would call this actually. It's lilac with a hint of grey with a tiny little bit of tiny little bit of pink almost in there. So now I'm going to do bevel my ends. So it's literally, because I've got a lot of shape in the sides, so I need to really bevel the fringe, otherwise it's going to just not connect to the haircut. And I always think a fringe needs to have a purpose. So, you know, if you've got someone who's got like hair down to their knees or whatever and wants a strong fringe, you can't really blend that, but that is a look on its own. But for this sort of thing, you want it to feel like the fringe is involved in this, okay? And you can see I'm beveling it, but I'm pulling it to the side. And you can just see that's really giving a nice shape. I can always take more out of it if I want to. Okay, so now, let's see. Are we happy now this side? It's always much prettier, it's my stronger side. Takes a little bit more work on this side, but that's fine, we've got time. And then we pull. Because we can comb a little bit of that out as well, you know, like, just because we put it in doesn't mean it's there. Oh, thank you, Savita, that's lovely. All right, so now we're gonna create the fringe. And you can see that this is all evolving as I go. So I wanna just break it up a little bit, but I don't wanna lose this. I don't want that. It's not pretty. Okay, it reminds me of when my brother had curtains at high school and he just was like, woo. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna move the hair a little bit. Actually, I might use my brush for this. I think I will. My brush is just gonna give me a lot more control than my comb, okay? And it's gonna help to soften the blend out. You can see it's just really made that easy. Okay, but then I wanna put this here. So that's going to keep this section forward, and then I can just move that to the side like that. Okay, and that's going to help to give us structure to this fringe. I'll put a little bit of hairspray on it so that it can set while I'm brushing out the rest of the hair. But this is important if you really want to keep the curtain fringe forward, okay? So I'm just using number 70 to fix. 101, I love it. It's just too heavy for what I want it to do, okay? So always use the right product for the right purpose. Just because it's new and you want to try it doesn't mean that it's going to work for that client. Just patience. Or try it on yourself. It's always an option. And cover the eyes. I know she can't see, but we don't want to get out of practice, do we? So we can take all of these out from the sides. And they really did do their job, okay? They really did help where I needed them to help. I'm getting my recycled wire tooth comb, and I'm just gonna brush it out, but pull it out, okay? And then just move it with my fingers just to create the texture, okay? Because this will brush it a bit straighter, but I want to just maintain the pieciness that we've managed to get in there. Just really pull it out, like, because the comb is so wide, and it is a little flexible. It's a perfect thing to be brushing out with. If I wanted more of a glamorous wave and a uniform wave, I'd go in with my brush to help to set the curls. Then I would use these pins to set my curls in place, but it's not the look we're going for today. Maybe another day we'll do that. Not today. Not for tech romance, I'm afraid. And you can just see that shape that's coming through. It's got the nice flatness through the top here. But it's still got this really cool, lived in California hair that we all know and love. Okay, I'm just gonna put my towel down because I am sliding all over the place before I get the finishing products out. Okay, so now we have to think logically again. Why are we gonna use the products in this order, okay? So I'm gonna be using Shine It, Pump It, and Hair Lift, okay? So, Hair Lift has got quite a gritty texture to it, okay? And that's what I want. I want that. But if I was to put the Hair Lift in, then go in with the Shine It, they might cling together a little bit. So you want the dust to be the last thing that you use before hairspray, if you're even using hairspray, because this can sometimes be enough. So in my head I'm thinking, okay, what do I want to do? So Pump It is going to give it a bit more texture. It's going to mattify it a little bit. It's almost like it's an aerosol, but it's got the feel of a salt spray. You can really feel it. So I'm going to do that first because it's going to dull it down a bit, and then I can go in with my shine spray. Oh, look how shiny I am. It's obviously very hot here. I feel like I'm in Malaysia again. Okay, and I'm just scrunching the product in. Really working it through. Not really doing anything to the fringe, just leaving that be, just chilling, just doing its thing. It's mainly through these ends that you want texture space. So just remember again, where do I want the texture? We don't want the texture at the top because we've worked on flattening that down with the no mark clips. We want it through the bottom, but I'm maintaining, you can see I've maintained the shape here. So it's, even though it's a doll's head, she's got quite fine hair. She literally had nothing at the bottom. I trimmed it up before I saw you, but we've managed to make it look like she's got really full, luscious hair. And that's through the different types of waves that we've done and where we've placed them. Place the right wave in the right area, okay? So now we're just going through with our texture spray just to enhance them waves a bit more. Oh, thank you. Now we're gonna go in with the shine in, okay? And again, I'm gonna be a little bit more careful than I was last time. I don't know why I wear shoes for these, you can't see my feet. I actually do want to get some on the ends. It's got 0 hold to it, guys, so you know the number on the front of the affix is its hold factor, 0 hold, and it's more lightweight than a serum. So if I was to go and run a serum through this, I run the risk of my curls dropping and it may not absorb through because of all of the cocktailing I've done and all the layering of the products. I want her fringe to be super shiny because she can see that. She's going to see that all day. Don't go too crazy because you also want her to be able to wear it all day, and obviously your fringe gets quite sweaty. So just a little bit through there. And now for the hair lift. So you can see that it comes, oh no you can't, there you go. Comes out quite a fine mist. You can put it in your hands like that. Rub it together and just scrunch it through. That will give you some texture also. If you're feeling a little creative, you can actually, I'm not going to do it too much because again I don't want volume at the roots, but I'll show you. So I've got my hairdryer on speed 1 with no heat, and there you just blow dry it in. This is going to help to give you a bit of movement in the hair and just get that product in. So it's always quite a nice one if you're on stage, just a bit fancy, isn't it? But you know, you can do that in sound as well, and it'll just give you a bit of movement. It will again blow this out because we want to open that, because that's where you're going to see the 3 transition shades, and then it'll just give you nice texture. Now this feels like it's going to last all day, which makes me really happy. I'm going to just do a little mist just to get the flyaways away at the top. Again, where's my brush? If you want to get the flyaways away, you can put a little bit on your brush and just comb it down. Okay. There we go. Yeah, we didn't want to go too like full shiner because I wanted to matte it down a little bit more. So we just wanted that little bit around the front, you know, so it doesn't look like it's dry, you know, because doing this kind of style, it can make the hair look a little bit drier. So we just wanted there just to make it, like you say, shimmer. And I hope that's what you can see. This was straight and we did it, you would really see like the shine running through. Okay, what I'm going to just do a second is just take the comments down just so I can see what she's looking like. Oh, I can't, never mind. Right, and we're almost there. So again, guys, thank you so much for joining me today and for all the times that you've come for the tech romance. I hope that you've liked it as much as I enjoyed making the colour techniques and bringing them to you. So just to recap on what we did, we just worked in with styling more than anything. The first product that we put on was the Lumen Oil Leave-In Conditioner, just to create a nice hydrated base, okay? Just so that we're going to mattify it down. We wanted the moisture in there. Then we worked with the Prep It, number 38 Fix, just so that we could start cocktailing and layering our products. So it doesn't have too much hold, it's not heavy, but it's a great base to just start getting all of the products to do what they need to do. Through the ends, we worked with pack oil, which is I think 55, yes 55. Not through the roots because we wanted flatness there and we didn't want any stickiness, so just through the ends to hold the shape. Then we wrap dried the hair, creating no parting and just flattening out those roots, but pulling the ends out so that we've got some volume and some expansion through the bottom. So we said, just trying to keep a really nice head shape for the bag, so it's not like, woohoo, you know, it's really, really nice. Then we've worked in with two different we worked in with two different curling and waving techniques. So underneath the occipital bone, we just rotated and waved the hair just to help create a bit of fullness through here. And then around the occipital bone, we twisted, put our straightener in vertical, and then just pulled down. So that gave us a bit more of a piecey effect. And then we worked our way up, keeping the top as a curl rather than a wave, because again, we didn't want that sort of weird head shape. We created a curtain bang in the front just to give a little bit of interest through there and just to blend the hair all together, and just showed you how to do that with the no mark clips. So I hope you guys like it. Like I say, this is the end of Tech Romance. It's been an absolute pleasure bringing this to you. If any of you do try this when you're in the salon, please tag either myself or Elgon, you know, show us your work. We really want to see your interpretation of this. Next week will be Gentle Energy. We're bringing in the new trend story. Super excited. We've already spoken a little bit about the bleachers there. So yeah, tune in same time, same place next week, and we will move on. Thank you so much, guys. Take care. Bye.